What is art? Is it just a pretty painting? A picture? An object? No. Art is a conversation. So let's talk. A couple weeks ago, on October 19th, 2025, we saw the crown jewels of France get stolen from right under the nose of the Louvre Museum in Paris in a spectacular 4-minute-long heist. Well, 7 minutes, says some reports, I guess if you count the time it took to ride the getaway lift.
Cool Spidey outfit. Thanks.
The stolen items are estimated at $102 million, but have been deemed inestimable, priceless, due to their cultural value and significance to the French people. 9 items were stolen, including this is a lovely sapphire set, which may have been worn by the iconic Marie Antoinette. It includes a diadem, necklace, and 2 lovely earrings. Oh, wait. Sorry, just 1 earring, actually. Who are we selling this to? Vincent van Gogh? Hey! Next, we have this emerald collection. No matching tiara, unfortunately. The Smithsonian has that one. But you do get both earrings with this one. If you're not a fan of color, we also have this more traditional, but still cutesy, diamond bow brooch, which was originally made to be a stylish belt. However, when Queen Victoria told the Empress Eugenie that she did not approve, it was refashioned into this more dramatic standalone piece. Now, for those who want to appear extremely fashionable, yet appropriately pious, like the Empress Eugenie herself, we have this diamond reliquary brooch. Like the true Catholic trendsetter she was, the Empress Eugenie had this brooch specially made to hold not just the 17th and 18th Mazarin diamonds, but also a holy relic. Second to last is another tiara, this time made out of 212 pearls and also a couple thousand diamonds, for the late Empress Eugenie's more casual affairs. And finally, our crowning piece to the selection, a crown. This one worn by the aforementioned Empress for her more formal, well, empiric duties. This masterpiece of headwear features 1,354 diamonds, 56 emeralds, and wait, what was that? This one's not on sale? We recovered it. On the street? In a gutter? Found outside the Louvre? The thieves dropped it during their escape? Well, that's lucky. I've just received word that the crown of Empress Eugenie is not on the market and has been returned to the museum, but due to someone's butterfingers, it has been damaged and is undergoing recovery as we speak. Did I mention that these jewels were stolen in broad daylight, while just steps away from a jam-packed crowd and the Mona Lisa? Due to the efficiency of the scene and the calm demeanor with which the thieves conducted themselves, it is said to be a job that only professionals could pull off. However, one retired jewel thief himself begs to differ. Here's a clip as to why he thinks these guys were actually amateurs.
So I want to bring in former jewel thief Larry Lawton, who is suspicious this was an inside job. For background, Larry, you spent time in jail for being a convicted jewel thief. Give us your background. What did you do?
You know, I'm known as the biggest jewel robber in the United States. I robbed between 15 and 18 million, and now I actually help police agencies, and I'm recognized on the floor of the United States Congress for helping people. I do know a lot about jewelry robberies. I think it's an amateur job. Or inside job. Here's my theory. Somebody knows somebody in the Louvre, whether it's a wife, a girlfriend, she might be a tour guide, and bedroom talk, she says, hey, listen, wow, you should see it. But they got nothing here. How did these robbers know that there was an electronic device that can stop or shock you when you pull a jewelry off of a felt or something of like that nature? Plus, there was so many mistakes made.
We know that the thieves rolled up to the Louvre on some motorized scooters. Some reports call them motorcycles, but I think they just want to make the story sound cooler to make the museum staff feel less bad. They also parked a straight-up industrial-sized freight lift, or a cherry picker, as some call it, right on the side of the museum, where they proceeded to use both the lift plus an additional ladder on top to elevate themselves to the top floor balcony. Definitely precarious, in my opinion. From there, they used angle grinders to enter the windows and began smashing away at the glass display cases in the Apollo Gallery where the jewels were kept. A note on the display cases. These display cases were actually recently modified, changed. Apparently part of the 2019 renovation was to explicitly reunite all of the crown jewels into one display. The jewels were once displayed not only in separate locations, but also in much more protective and elaborate displays. The president-director of the Louvre, Jean-Luc Martinez, stated that his reasoning was to counter its elitist image. The museum will strive for cultural democratization to make its treasures more accessible with improved presentation, labeling, and curating. Later on, in May 2022, that same former president-director of the Louvre, Jean-Luc Martinez, was then indicted for antiques trafficking.
What?
So what we see today that the thieves broke into, we see how the jewels are all gathered together in a much more modern and minimalistic type of casing. Now, maybe this casing was more gun-proof, bulletproof, however, less apparently angle grinder proof. Also, a lot more in the same location, not only for visitors to view all at once, but for thieves to steal all at once. Coincidence? I think not. Anyways, weird. So, moving on. Back to October 19th, 2025. It's important to note that the thieves chose to set up their heist on the side of the building that faced less traffic, the side facing towards the River Seine rather than the street. They also came dressed as construction workers, so as to cause less suspicion in their approach. I mean, if you're going to be using industrialized machinery, you might as well look like you know how to use it. It's also important to note that while these thieves were certainly fast, they were not silent. Witnesses report hearing stomping noises, and shortly after, the Louvre security staff began shouting at everyone to evacuate. Quote, "I was just trying to figure out what's happening when I saw the museum staff going to that noise. Then they did a turnaround, like real quick, and they started running and saying, 'Get out, get out, get out.'"
Do you hear what I just said? Get your shit and go out the door! Hurry up, get your hell out of here, Simone!
Despite all of this commotion, the thieves were said to have conducted themselves calmly and without violence. That is, until they rode their cherry picker back down the side of the building, tried to set it on fire, failed, dropped the Empress's crown, and then finally escaped on their motorcycles. Seems to me like they might have lost their cool a little bit at the end there during their getaway and almost fumbled the ball, as we Americans say.
You fumble the football, and I will break my foot off in your John Brown hind parts.
At least I think that's what we say. I don't know. I don't watch football. But in the end, they did still get away with the $100 million of historic artifacts. And the only ones left truly embarrassed here are the museum staff. Justice Minister Gerald Darmanin, I can't speak French, later acknowledged serious failures, saying that the fact a freight lift could be installed on a public street outside the Louvre without being detected shows that our systems must be reassessed. He added that the incident projects a negative image of France and confirmed that a full security review was underway. It is true that clearly the security needs some revision at the Louvre, and in heists like these, it is likely that there was a man on the inside. However, most news reports suspect that the success of the robbery is mainly due to the notorious staffing issues the museum has been facing for years. With the Louvre being the largest museum in the world with 15 acres of gallery space, 8 miles of labyrinth-like corridors, and approximately 8.7 million visitors a year, there are simply too few eyes on too many entrances, exits, and visitors. Due to the Louvre's failures in these areas, all of France is left hoping that these criminals will have a change of heart and return the items by realizing the gravity of what it means to lose such cultural and historic items. After all, they are all of what's left of the original French crown jewels, the majority of which were destroyed or went missing during the French Revolution or the fall of the Napoleonic Empire. But realistically, we will probably never see these stolen items again, as we know them at least.
Bye, Felicia.
Since they are unsellable as highly recognizable stolen artifacts, it is most likely they'll be broken down into parts and pieces and sold individually in the black market. Yes, this will drastically decrease the overall value of the jewels, but I'm sure it will be far from nothing in terms of profit. Now, that doesn't mean that this is without risk, however. Natural cut gems, like those in the stolen jewels, always have what are called inclusions, or rather imperfections. These imperfections are actually what gives the gem their unique value and recognition, meaning it is possible to find out whether the diamonds you just bought from Shady Joe down the street are the diamonds from the Empress Eugenie's bow brooch. The difficulty of selling these priceless stolen items is something the Louvre has already seen as a challenge in their favor, due to the last famous heist they experienced with the Mona Lisa herself. In 1911, this lovely lady was whisked away in the coat pocket of a museum employee who clearly had no intention of putting in his 2 weeks' notice. Vincenzo Perugia, an Italian patriot, had stolen the painting in hope of returning it to its home country in Italy, but when he tried to sell it to a Florentine gallery, he was swiftly found out and apprehended. But that apprehension only occurred after 2.5 whole years of open investigation, which included printing thousands of pictures of the stolen Mona Lisa in newspapers worldwide, while also questioning young, famous artists such as Guillermo Apollinaire, a poet, and even Pablo Picasso himself, about her whereabouts. Because of her theft, the Mona Lisa became the #1 most identifiable painting that we know today, across the world. And her theft is the only reason why people spend all day crowding around each other in a massive museum just to catch a glimpse. When she was stolen in 1911, it took an entire day for anyone to notice that she wasn't on the wall anymore. She really wasn't that big a deal until she became a worldwide story. So now I'm wondering, if the crown jewels were to return home, would their fame and value in the art world skyrocket in the same way as the Mona Lisa's once did? The Mona Lisa is a painting made by a masterful Renaissance artist, and the jewels are worth millions of dollars and are all that's what's left of the once decimated French monarchy. But what truly gives art its value? Is it the material cost, the signature, or is it the story we tell about it? What do you think? Let's have a conversation in the comments, and subscribe to continue the discussion in other videos on what is art. See you next time.